I've had to learn that one of my most powerful words is no.
Yes.
And when you're someone who is a giver, when you're someone who is a pleaser in the sense of I want to make sure that you're okay when you're in the space with me,
Uh-huh.
it is very difficult. It was very difficult. I'm gonna say was because it's not anymore, but it was very difficult for me to also take time to recharge myself.
Yeah.
You're listening to I Have Given My Answer with Liz Gillum of E616 Consulting. If you're ready to take part in the conversations that give Black women the comfort, the community, and the confidence to live our lives freely, recognize our true worth, and embrace softness, and I know you are, then you are in the right place. I am your host, and you can join me each week as we talk honestly and authentically, freely and in our own words. There is no one here to disappoint, no one here to judge, just Black women supporting other Black women. If you are ready for that community, then step into the right place. Y'all, welcome back to the second episode of I Have Given My Answer. And the exciting thing about this one is that we have a guest. So let me go ahead and introduce to you my friend, Siteria Gregory. Now, I'm going to read here now the bio that she gave me, but I'm going to let her tell y'all a little bit more about who she is. So Siteria Gregory is the founder and senior artist of CT Art and Beauty Studio. She is a makeup artist, an esthetician, a nail tech, the bridal bestie, an environmental scientist, a dreamer, a go-getter, a traveler, an explorer, and a lover of arts and music. And y'all, that does not even begin to touch on how amazing she is. So we're going to talk to her today about a little bit of boundaries and self-care for Black women. All right, let's get into it. Thank you for joining us. We are here with my friend, my fraternity sister, my beloved Siteria Gregory. I'm so happy that she's here. Thank you for doing this, Siteria. I mean it. Thank you.
I'm so honored. I'm so excited. This is such an amazing. We're podcasting right now. Like, congrats.
I've told the people a little bit about you, but there anything that you want to say? Like, let them hear your flavor, not just my reading off the paper, but let them hear it from you. Who are you? I know who you are and I adore you. Who are you?
I could totally do my FAMU introduction right now, but not only am I the founding member of City Art Beauty Studio, current senior artist, I'm also an environmental scientist. And my focus was forest biotechnology. So I had an interest in transforming nature, basically, in areas that were impoverished to help clean them up, to genetically engineer trees to clean toxins up out of contaminated soils. That was actually my graduate thesis, and working on that. And that's what I'm passionate about. And I'm passionate about philanthropy. I'm passionate about self-care, passionate about mental health. And I am a huge opponent of bullies and really big on giving the underserved and overlooked a voice and giving them the sense of a safe space and protection that, and my spirit aligns with justice and fairness. So that's it. That's what I would tell somebody about me if they didn't know who I was.
Start me crying. It's too early to start me crying. But you have single-handedly reformed my views on self-care and for myself as a Black woman, because it is such a core value of yours. And not only do I see you live it, but you provide it at such a high quality and such a personable quality that I don't feel like I have to show up and be perfect already to be cared for when I come to you. I can just be my mess and I will still be not just cared for, but loved by you. And it is not just me who feels that. Like, I have seen other folk talk about your services and your studio, and just everything about you exudes everything you have just said. Like, if you all do not know her, it's too late. She's my friend and you can't have her. But what I'm trying to say is that she is fantastically amazing. And I know a lot of dope Black women who do a lot of dope shit, but Siteria is someone who is just so proud of Black women and caring for Black women and showcasing our beauty. You make us feel so much more comfortable in our own skin. And it's not just makeup, but it's you're an esthetician and you're a skincare professional. Like, you are just everything. You are everything when it comes to beauty and self-care.
But I like to say that I help you create a more polished version of you.
Yeah.
It's still you. It's just more polished.
Yeah.
And by polished, I mean more aligned. Like you said, feeling loved on, having your cup filled, right? Like, it is all, I literally approached my studio from a place of love, in partial desperation because I ain't had no job, but, but love, because at the time, there was no place for professional Black women who are drained every single day. There was no place for them to really go aside from a hair salon, really, and not even really there, but to really go somewhere and feel like I can walk in here. I can, case in point, one of my clients, to this day, I took a picture of it. I haven't posted it yet, but I told her she was getting a facial. Remove whatever garments you want to feel comfortable removing. Some clients want to stay fully clothed, some, partially disrobed. I said, take whatever you want to take off. I'm going to step out. And then when you're ready for me to come back in, let me know. Girl, I walked in and there's a hook on the door on the side. It was her bra and her wig. He said, I have never been able to do that. And it made her teary-eyed because she was able to remove the mask and be authentic. So that told me that Black women, even in spaces where they go to get self-care, still don't feel that they can be their authentic selves because you don't want to alarm or offend the person that's providing the service, especially if they aren't Black.
Yes.
And so that touched me in so many spiritual ways. I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. That was an affirmation.
Yeah.
Just to kind of underscore what you were saying. And I thank you so much for that. I'm honored and I'm humbled, but I do it sincerely out of wanting to create a space as someone who has been a professional scientist, who has worked for the federal government, state, local government, for a university. And I was like, well, what kind of space would I want if I just want to get out of here and unplug? And so that is the energy that I poured into my studio when I created it. Like, I want you to come here and just be you.
Yes, you have succeeded. You have, and just being around you. And, one of the big things that I like to focus on in this show is celebrating us. Yes, for what we do, because like I said, we're all dope and we do dope shit, but outside of what we produce, just celebrating us and who we are existing as Black women, and just knowing you has improved my life tremendously. And I worry about you because you're so busy. And I worry about my friend because you do so much. And I know that you want to do it.
Yeah.
But we all fall into that trap. I know, for the love of God, I am exhausted right now. Like, I am so tired right now, but we all want to do these things because we're dope women. But I worry about, because I want my friend to be okay.
Yeah, and I so appreciate when you send me like your check-in text messages. It really does warm my heart, and I can tell you that, what is it? I love seeing those memes. It was like or tweets when they say, kids who were like extremely talented could do everything. So how's therapy going for you? Like, and it's something that I've had to not, I would say tamper. I'm gonna say tamper down because I would burn myself out doing everything and being everything to everyone. I've had to learn that one of my most powerful words is no.
Yes.
And when you're someone who is a giver, when you're someone who is a pleaser in the sense of I want to make sure that you're okay when you're in the space with me, it is very difficult. It was very difficult. I'm gonna say was because it's not anymore, but it was very difficult for me to also take time to recharge myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
It took me having to hit rock bottom for me to say, okay, I cannot do this. And so I can't continue going on like this. Like I'm going to lose it.
Yeah.
And I realized that what I had to do, and it was baby steps because it was difficult. But I had to implement pulling away from giving so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I had to teach myself how to say, no, you don't have time. Or not even just saying I don't have time, just say no and let that be my answer. I needed to implement that for my sanity and my safety, and for my well-being. And I'm still a work in progress, but I'm way better than what I was. So even with this new year, as you know, I'm in several organizations. I've had to pull back my participation or my commitments that I've made within those organizations, whether they be financial or time or anything. I've had to pull back, and I've had to teach myself to not explain to anybody why. So you know what? I'm a holler back at y'all. But the blessing is that because I already was somebody who was consistently doing the work. Well, I'm gonna say this: if you're in a situation where you're the only person that's working, they're going to resent you taking a break. That's in anything in life. That's at work, in relationships, organizations. If you are the one that's pulling your weight and everybody else's, you taking a break is an insult to the people who don't do anything. But to those who do work and those who do understand the value of self-care, they'll support your decision. And that it showed me a lot about people when I started pulling away. Because not everybody's going to check on you when you're pulling away, because you're just gone. So there's a lack of appreciation for your presence. So correct. So I've learned to, and then so I learned I had to learn not to take that personal when I didn't hear, when I didn't sit around saying, "Well, I wish they would check on me." I just went on and it kept doing me. I didn't take it personal, but I took note. Right.
Yes.
So in doing so, now that now that you're in a situation where you pull back, what do you do with the time that you have now? And so that's where I am now that I've pulled back. And for the first time in my past, I've had my business now for 5 years, being self-employed. It has been a journey, but this was the first time this past December, I took the entire month off. I needed it, and it was hell for like the first few days because I was just jumping up, like there's got to be something for me to do. And I realized that I had I had trained myself to develop a habit of always being busy. And it took me that month to break that habit, to say it's okay to take a break. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to honor that. And I want to stay in that space to refocus and regroup, because for a business, if you don't grow, you die. Right. So I came back with, you know what, I'm going to work a modified schedule for 2023. I was like, I'm not going to be in the studio every single day by myself. So I'm like, I'm going to work to get some assistance in there, which means I had to work on trusting people. Right. But it's like the end goal is for me to have more time to myself. And so one of the things of being an entrepreneur is that people love, the social media front side of, oh, you a boss bitch, blah, blah, blah. But on the back end, baby, you are tired. you is tired. And so I'm in here like, slaying faces, doing manicures, pedicures, brows, and then like my own hands are looking like I've clawed at rocks, right? And so I was like, I need to go love on me. Like, who takes care of the caretakers? And so I had to. It has been a struggle. I'm not going to act like it happened overnight, but I am slowly teaching myself how to do things differently for me because I want different. One of the things I've learned, and I was also one of the things I didn't say in the beginning, but I was also a sales director with Mary Kay's Cosmetics, earning the car, all that kind of stuff. And I had to step down because my health declined.
Yeah.
And I remember some of the ladies being so upset that I was stepping down and was trying to like talk me into finding ways around it. Well, what have you thought about this for your health or this for your health, rather than just prioritize my health, right? And this is no shade at Mary Kay, because Mary Kay is amazing. It's, any entity, there's going to always be a couple of bad apples in it, right? So, and that showed me like, that was a precursor to remind me. And I guess I'm a glutton for punishment because I went right back into trying to do for others while not taking care of myself. And it will catch up to you. And I'm glad that I stopped myself before it went too far. And I think the biggest thing is sitting down and assessing with my business, where did I want to be? There were goals that I had set up that I had not reached. And I had to really look at, well, why? And I was like, because it's just you. You are your business right now. And you don't have anybody else in here working with you. So if you don't work, you don't get paid, you don't eat. Yeah. And I realized that that's not what I want, because that's draining. I didn't start this to be working at my business.
What? Yes. You don't have the time to work on your business because you're working in the business.
So that's why I've implemented my, my new schedule, because I want to work at my business, because I do love what I do. I love servicing my clients, but I also need time to work on it so that I can grow it. And if it means to make a temporary sacrifice for a long-term gain, I'll do it. That's just kind of the nature of the business. And I just have put it out into the universe that everything that I need is going to be provided for me, because what the phrase say, faith without works is dead, and people forget about the works part.
Oh yeah. All the time. You said that you might be a glutton for punishment, and I wanted to caution you there, because it is not something that is wrong with you or that you have done wrong. I think that as Black women, from a young age, we are encouraged and expected to work at the detriment of ourselves. We are expected to put ourselves on the back burner. We are expected to put our wants, our desires, our quirks, all that has to go for family, for friends, to keep intimate partners. And that's just the personal side. We don't even get to the respectability politics, to get a job, keep a job, all of that. And it is not your fault. And it is not anything that you have done wrong. That is why you and I are here today, because we are here to help each other get free from that. I have had to deal with a lot, in my own therapy, that rest is not a sin.
My God.
I have had to really fight through that. My therapist told me, she goes, there is not a person alive who knows you who would ever call you lazy. So if you are stopping, you must need rest. Rest is okay, and it is necessary. And I am so proud of you for taking the entire month off. And what do you know? The world kept spinning.
Did? Now, the funny thing is, I did have some clients straight up threaten me, was like, don't you run away on me. Like, I had some clients that was like, girl, please tell me when you're coming back. But that was just in jest, right? they totally understood. They got it. And honestly, what you said, like rest is not a sin, that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up, because you're absolutely right. And the fact that so many of us share that trauma says a lot. And the fact that we didn't know each other in our childhoods, but as adult women, we share that same trauma says a lot about what Black girls, the expectations put on Black girls.
Yes.
Oh, like that is a mouthful.
Precisely. Why would you do that? There's stuff to be done. If you can lean, you can clean. Isn't that what they used to tell us? Like, if you can lean, you can clean. But can I just breathe?
Can I just have a moment? And we were never given that moment.
No.
And then you would see, and I was just, since you say this is for us, I would see white girls that would constantly, they would be rested, well rested, bushy tailed,
yes,
minimal work, and then was getting all credit and
protected and cared for and elevated.
And you sitting here looking like all your life you had to fight. And you just, and you're angry.
Yes.
And then layers of that like literally like repeating that cycle every single time creates anger, resentment. Dare I say envy, but not envy that I want to be white. I just want to be able to have the soft, luxurious life that they appear to have, or at least the privilege that they appear to have. You know, the preferential treatment, the benefit of the doubt, the unlimited number of chances to make a mistake. You know, think about one of the things I think about when it comes to like how Black girls don't get the rest and how we're always struggling. And you might have heard this, is the Three Little Bears.
Yeah.
This white girl trespassed into their house, ate their food, and slept in their beds.
Probably with her outside clothes on.
With her outside clothes. Did not remove her shoes when she went into their house.
No, not at all. Got right in all three of their beds, too.
And this is taught to you as a child that this is okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized as an adult, them bears should have whooped her ass when she came up in there. It is the immediate extension of grace and mercy. Well, I'm gonna say mercy, because mercy is when you deserve punishment, but you don't get it. And that's what I mean. And it kind of ties back into what we're talking about, how we're taught to make ourselves secondary. Even in a moment of tragedy, Black women are always the first to rush in and provide nurturing, right? And forgiveness. We're expected to. Now, see, I don't forgive quick.
I don't give it. I don't have time. No.
The expectation is that we give it. And the moment I would see a white woman or white girl, in our cases as children, have a breakdown, we're expected to comfort her. To exhibit maturity in the moment. But when we exhibit the same behavior that they do, we're labeled as problem children.
Oh, yes.
What makes us unique, like the new generation, the Gen Zers, what I love about them is that they get the benefit of not having to deal with what we had to deal with, because we were the transition generation, right? So we got the best of both worlds, but we also carried the baggage from that. And so I really do feel like a lot of us are doing the work to break those generational curses, to not repeat the psychological abuse. And so we're working to break those curses. And this new generation, I absolutely love it. They will declare a mental health day in a heartbeat.
They don't take the shits at all.
I think that our generation has been doing the work to change those mindsets and break those generational curses, both financial generational curses, psychological generational curses, emotional generational curses. Telling your son that this is a soft space Nobody, I can't find a boomer who would say that to their son.
No.
And say, this is a place where you are free to express yourself. You are free to feel loved and vulnerable. And saying that to a Black boy, boomers would cringe because they have it in their mind what Black boys are supposed to be like, irrespective of who they are as an individual. And I love the fact that our generation identifies that, masculine and feminine are basically relative things, and they are fluid. The word for our generation is boundaries.
Woo!
Boundaries, I think, is something that our generation has had to kind of lay down the gauntlet on that.
Uh-huh.
You are going to respect me, respect who I am, respect this space, or you can stay where you at. And the boundary is not for you, it's for me. So it's not gonna be no, it's for me to base a boundary. For me is, if you call my phone and you showing out, I'm just not gonna answer your phone call. That's a boundary.
Yeah.
It's for me, because that means I'm not going to subject myself to your emotional, psychological, physical abuse. I'm not going to do it. So and then also with that boundary, when you build that boundary, kind of, if it's like an imaginary wall,
sure,
we are no longer concerned with what's happening on the other side of that wall.
I have learned that boundaries are for you. Like, boundaries are for me.
Yeah.
Rules are for you.
Yeah.
So you set boundaries to protect yourself.
Yeah.
When people set rules, that is for how other people are to behave. I don't have time for that. It's like, I can, you do
you. But if it crosses this boundary with me, this is what I'm going to go.
Precisely. Yeah.
And that's really it. What I want Black women to not have to do is to be operating out of survival mode. Because your head is always on a swivel. You always are like attack ready. You don't get to rest. And I had to find peace for myself so that I can get out of survival mode and get into a spirit of thriving, of abundance.
Yeah.
And that's when I got really big into like self-care and mental health, because it was taxing on me. So yeah.
I am obsessed. And I know people use that word a lot, but I am obsessed with the idea with the reality of giving Black women our lives back.
My God. My God.
I am obsessed with it. It is an obsession of mine.
You know what? You're right. We are the only demographic where we are expected to forfeit our lives for the benefit of others.
That's right. I'm obsessed with it. We're dying. We are the most educated group, and we're dying. I'm tired of it.
And really, we are the only group, since we are so educated and have the connects, we are literally saving ourselves.
I'm here to do that.
I am totally in alignment with that. And I realized that, like, even in my social media persona, if you will, I am all about going to bat for Black women.
Oh, yes.
And being unapologetic. And you know why I know that we're the most powerful? Because we're the only ones that receive pushback when we support and uplift each other.
And we have gotten that not just from outside of our race.
Yeah.
And not just from our race. Here's where we're going. Here, we're going there. But
okay,
from our own family. From our own family, from grandma, from mom, from aunts, from cousins, from church.
And it forced us to try to conform at the cost of our sanity, of our identity, of our emotional well-being, of our mental health. And
in this community that we have I'm obsessed with giving us our lives back, and I'm obsessed with community and building one for us. We have robbed ourselves of such community, and we are, like you said, we are always our heads on the swivel. We're always in attack mode. Rest, lean. You don't have to be cleaning right now. Matter of fact, call me. Let me come over while you sit for a little bit.
And I think too, in having to be that way since a child, right? That also puts walls up. We are not so quick to let people in to our private space. We don't want people to see us broken because it's a point of shame. When you feel good, it opens up a pathway for you to be good to others just because.
Yeah.
And so I love the fact that that you have done that work and that you apply that from the fruits of those labors, you now apply that fruit, if you will, a fruit salad, if you will, towards how you treat your friends and your close circle. And so I'm honored to be in that circle of friends that you check on. I'm telling you, it makes my day feel good. And even in somebody, like myself, that has battled depression and suicidal thoughts and one suicide attempt before, it always it feels good, because when you are in the throes of depression, it feels like nobody's there. Depression depression works by making you feel isolated, by making you alone.
Yes.
And so to get a random text, it was one time you text me, I was at the bottom. And I was just like, oh my God, somebody cares. Like it was, it was a moment, and it made me get out all the tears and the sobs that I had been holding on to and building up. And so I was able to let it go and get relief, and then fill my cup spiritually, and because it's a fight. You got to claw your way up out that thing. And that text that day, can't remember which day it was, but that text on that day at that precise moment changed my trajectory. So thank you. Thank you. And that's the kind of thing that we Black women do for each other that I just love. I cherish it. I do not take that for granted, because we want to give to each other what was never given to us.
Right.
I love that. I love that for us. I love that for our future. I love that for our present, and I love that for our future.
All right. Ice cube moment. What would be your ice cube for our listeners? This is something that you all can either chew on, as I like to do, or you can sit with it. But this is your ice cube for today's glass of lemonade. So what is it, Siteria? What is it?
Now I want some lemonade. My ice cube to give to your beautiful, amazing, awe-inspiring listeners is this. Y'all can quote me on this. If it makes you happy, keep it to yourself.
Woo! Woo!
The
Please
word of God for the children of God. If it makes you happy, keep it to yourself. Don't feel pressured. This is just kind of add on to that, but it's not a part of the quote, but this is kind of giving it some substance, but some explanation. Don't feel pressure to run to social media with every win that you have. Because you need, because the one thing I've learned about social media is so fleeting. It gives you a quick fix, but you don't get to really enjoy your privacy. And, and I'm like, I tell people all the time, like, I encourage more of us to do that. That way it gives you a chance to set your boundaries, to set what your norms are for your life, to set guidelines for your life. And you can create your own atmosphere of softness, of security, of love, and you have it for yourself. rather than you just giving it to everybody else willy-nilly through running, posting, running your mouth, whatever you want to do. Keep it to yourself if it's that good. Keep it to yourself. Nourish that thing. Water that thing. And it will feed you for the rest of your life.
Hey, sis. That was a good one, wasn't it? I know. You ain't got to tell me. I know. I loved talking to Siteria about boundaries, and we got into so much more, but I had to keep it concise. But man, y'all, I hope that you remember that no is your most powerful word. Use it to protect yourself, and use it and use it and use it. Don't let anyone take you farther than you're ready to go. I love you so much, and I hope that this episode was everything that it was to me for you. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of I Have Given My Answer. This week's episode was produced by Oz Longworth Jr. of Longworth Media Solutions. We hope that you have been reminded that you are enough. Be sure to come back next week where we'll have another conversation to remind you just how wonderful you are. We here at E616 Consulting keep Black women grounded in love through community, comfort, and confidence. And we can't do that without you. We can't wait to hear how this episode touched you because we know it moved our souls. Sis, you are enough, and we love you for it.